All right, so pensions administration. Not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when you think dream job.
Yeah, not exactly the sexiest field out there.
But that's why we're doing this deep dive. These role catcher guides are shedding light on a career path that's, well, honestly, way more interesting than it sounds on the surface.
Definitely. When you hear administrator, you think, I don't know, pushing paper, filing things. But these guides paint a much more dynamic picture. We're talking about the systems that ensure people have financial security after decades of work.
Right, it's like being the guardian of people's retirement, right? It's not just about crunching numbers.
Exactly. It's about making sure those numbers translate into someone's well-deserved relaxation and enjoyment later in life. But the numbers are important.
Oh, absolutely. And these guides really emphasize that.
Right, so think about something like projecting the growth of a pension fund over, say, 20 years. You've got interest rates, investment performance, even potential changes in legislation to consider. It's a lot.
It sounds like a huge responsibility. It's one thing to balance your own checkbook, but to manage the financial futures of potentially thousands of people, that's a whole other ballgame. You need some serious analytical skills.
Absolutely, and you can't be afraid of spreadsheet. But it's interesting, one of the role catcher guys even mentioned needing to explain these complex pension calculations to clients. So you've got to be able to communicate those insights effectively too, not just crunch the numbers.
So it's kind of like being a financial translator in a way. You're taking these intricate financial concepts and making them clear and relatable to someone who might not be as familiar with the ins and outs of pension plans.
Exactly. And you know, it's fascinating. That need to bridge the gap between technical expertise and clear communication. It's only becoming more important as technology advances. The sources we have here mention software automating more routine tasks.
Oh, interesting. You'd think technology might make the human element less important, but it sounds like it's the opposite.
Right. It frees up these professionals to focus on higher level analysis,
Yeah.
and client interaction, that kind of thing. And then there's AI.
AI. Whoa, okay, now we're getting futuristic. AI making decisions about people's retirement funds.
It's definitely on the horizon and it raises some interesting questions, right?
It's both exciting and a little intimidating, don't you think?
It is a little out there, but one thing these role catcher guides really emphasize is that no matter how much technology changes things, the need for skilled professionals, people who actually understand the complexities of these pension systems, that's not going away.
Okay, that's good to hear. It gives you a sense of stability, right? Like in this world where automation is changing everything, there are still fields where human expertise is irreplaceable.
Exactly. And honestly, with an aging population, the demand for these skills, it's only going to increase. Someone's got to manage all those retirement plans.
Right. It's not like everyone is going to suddenly stop retiring, right? Speaking of those plans, though, one thing that surprised me in these role catcher guides was the emphasis on all the different types of pension schemes. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Oh, definitely not. You've got your defined benefit plans. Those are the more traditional ones. Your retirement income is based on a formula, usually tied to your salary and how long you worked at a company.
Right, right.
And then you have defined contribution plans, your 401ks and those sorts of things, where the amount you put in and how it's invested, that determines what you get when you retire.
So as a pensions administrator, you need to be familiar with all these different schemes, how they work, how they're funded, how the benefits are calculated. It's a lot to keep straight.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like you're a financial architect in a way,
Yeah.
right? Designing and managing these really intricate systems that people rely on for their golden years.
That's a great way to put it. And it really underscores the responsibility that comes with this kind of role. You're not just playing around with numbers on a spreadsheet. You're actually shaping the financial well-being of individuals' families. It's a big deal.
And that comes through in these role catcher materials too, that emphasis on the human impact. It's not just about crunching numbers, it's about communication, empathy, building trust with clients.
Absolutely. And another thing they highlight, which I found really interesting, was the potential for career growth.
Huh.
The guides lay out a pretty clear trajectory. You can start as a pensions administrator and move into a more senior role, maybe lead a team, become a manager, even go into consulting,
Yeah.
advising people on pension strategies.
So there's a real path there. You're not just stuck in a dead-end job. You can learn, grow, take on more responsibility. For someone who's ambitious, who's looking for a career with some legs, that's pretty appealing.
Definitely. And it just goes to show you need a pretty diverse skill set to really thrive in this field. Of course, you need that strong analytical foundation, but you also need to be able to communicate effectively, lead teams, adapt to all these new technologies. It's a lot to juggle.
And stay up to date on all the industry trends, the regulations. That's got to be a lot.
Absolutely. The world of pensions is constantly changing. Laws are updated, new investment strategies pop up, technology throws a wrench in everything. It's a lot to keep up with.
Like they say, the only constant is change, right?
Right.
Especially in a field like this. But hey, that's part of what keeps things interesting, right?
Exactly. And speaking of interesting, we've talked a lot about the skills and knowledge you need for this career path. But what about the tools, the resources that are out there to actually help people succeed? What about those?
Well, that's where RoleCatcher comes in, right? They're not just telling you about this career. They're actually giving you the tools you need to, land your dream job in the field.
Exactly. And they've really outdone themselves in terms of the resources they provide.
It's like they've created this toolkit, you know,
Yeah.
for anyone serious about a career in pensions administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always talk about tailoring your CV, right? And practicing your interview answers, all that good stuff. Well, RoleCatcher has it all laid out for you.
It's like they've taken all the guesswork out of it, which is amazing.
It really is. And they have this whole database of potential employers. They even have this AI thing that gives you feedback on your interview answers. It's wild.
Wow, AI interview coach. That's something else.
It is.
So you're not just sending out these generic applications into the void and hoping for the best. You can actually use their tools to target your search, highlight the skills you have that are relevant, really make a strong impression.
And that's so important these days, right? It's a competitive job market out there. It's not just about what you know anymore. It's about how you present yourself, how you articulate your value to these potential employers. RoleCatcher gives you the resources to actually do that.
So it sounds like, for anyone listening, if you're even remotely intrigued by this whole world of pensions administration, RoleCatcher seems like the place to go, just to start exploring. They've laid out a pretty clear path to success here, I think, at least from what we're seeing. Not just the knowledge you need, but the practical tools to actually make it happen.
I completely agree. I think whether you're just starting out or you're already in the field and you just want to stay on top of things, it's an incredible resource, really is.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive into the surprisingly, dare I say, dynamic world of pensions administration. It's certainly not what I expected, I'll be honest.
Me neither. And honestly, it just goes to show you,
Yeah.
you can't judge a book by its cover, even when it comes to career paths.
Right. So, for anyone out there who's looking for a career that's, I don't know, maybe intellectually stimulating, but also genuinely rewarding on a personal level, pensions administration might be the thing. Who knew?
You might just find your calling.
Exactly. All right, that's it for this deep dive, everybody. We'll catch you next time for more unexpected career exploration.